Hello world, from whichever time zone you're catching me from, my name is MD90. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notification to all so that you do not miss the uploads that come up. And the easiest way for you to navigate the channel is to head to the playlist. You'll find videos curated for you based on your interest. So if you're interested in the Kutika podcast, you'll find a playlist for that. For news and trends, there's a playlist for that. Exclusive with MD90, a bunch of playlists that are created based on your interest. So the easiest way to navigate the channel is head straight to the playlist and you'll find what you're here for. Consider becoming a member of the channel. Right next to the subscribe button is the join button. You click on the join button so that you can become a member of the channel. You support the team on the production and a number of things that we're doing here, and we appreciate that.
Well, the news that the late President Edgar Lungu is going to be buried in South Africa has finally hit the South African mainstream media. So SABC put up this news article. He said the family of the late former Zambian President Edgar Lungu has announced that he will be buried in South Africa. This is after family and Zambian government could not reach an agreement on how send-off of former leader should be. So once SABC put up that comment, then the South African community reacted to that. Well, one thing I can tell you is that they cooked the Zambian community in the comment section. Let me just read you the interaction. But here is one Zambian that was like, here Your Maps was thinking you will perform Kubari Okanshi. It's DJ Maparisa. As you know, DJ Maparisa is a South African musician or record label owner. Let's start with the Zambian reaction to this news. So some of the people that chipped in, Simon Mlenga Mwewa, this is the lawyer of the Socialist Party. He was like, I've been typing and deleting. Otherwise, I have a lot to say, but number touch so I will let it slide. And then it's just that I cannot afford a lawyer. Otherwise, thinking I want to say. So he simply says, I have a lot I want to say, but I mean, we've got a cybersecurity law at this moment, so you hold back his thoughts. But one thing is that he's a lawyer, so people in the comment section were like, if lawyers are even afraid to speak, then what of the rest of the population commenting to him? Obviously, that conversation started in the comment section, and he was like, Papa, no, that's still Simon commenting on his post. And then cyber laws are back. Commercial break is over, meaning when the President Hakainde announced to say the mourning period was over and the country could not be in perpetual mourning, meaning it was over. All the memes and everything people are making online, they should be accountable for that. And then some people are in the comment section. I mean, they are telling him to say, you are the lawyer that we rely on, and we were depending on you. And he replied to say, to those saying they have me now, I'm going to legal aid, to seek legal counsel. My trick. From today, we should all shindika ourselves, Pantu. So he simply says, hey, even me, I'm looking for a lawyer at this point, so you cannot rely on me telling people in his comment section. On the other hand, the musician CQ put up this post. He says, since the Lungu family has decided to bury our former president outside and we cannot find closure, we shall consider Dr. Edgar Lungu a fugitive. Thank you for wasting our time. So that's a comment that CQ is chipping in on that. Obviously, in the comment section, for a flop, like you're an artist, you're trying to find relevance. He commented, no, I'm no longer dependent on music now. Goes further. Another artist that chipped in was TVG or Stevie Glory. He also chips in. I do not support the government over this funeral. He says he stands with the Edgar Lungu family. So you can see the views are divergent. Musicians, general public are on two sides of the aisle, which is expected anyway. And then in the comment section, in Simon's comment section, people are like, even lawyers are now looking for lawyers. That was Charles the engineer commenting. When you go to see your lawyer and he's crying because he has a case to answer, Northern Rhodesia, so simply go commenting on that. And some of the comments that I noted on this post were from what do you call him? Is it director spokesperson for Minister of Information? And I'll read his comment later on. But this was still Simon remembering, saying, a very humble, funny man. Each time we met at each time we met, he would call me at a lawyer, like the interaction he remembers of him and Edgar Lungu. And then, yeah, Henry Kapata is the one I was referring to. So that's the direct spokesperson. The role that Tawakawana held in Ministry of Information that is held by Henry Kapata. So he was responding to Simon's post about saying everyone needs a lawyer at this point. And he said in some countries and destinations, between lawyer and there's a distinction between lawyer and the barrister. Many may know they formalized with a barrister. Others are specific training and certification and the role within the legal system. This one looks like a barrister. Is referring to a meme that Simon had posted on his post. And then obviously Masulani also chipped in to say, me who thought I would have breakfast and lunch at Belvedere this weekend. So he simply says, since national mourning has been called off by the president, that's his reaction. He was hoping to have breakfast and lunch at the Belvedere Lodge. Unfortunately, it was not to be. And then Smart Eagles simply asks, are we going? Or we are going, are you? And then people are just, we've moved on. So the reactions are different. It's a mixed cut of reactions from different sections of society. But one thing I wanted to take note was the South African reaction to the news to say Zambia's president was going to be buried in their country. So someone in the comment section, this on Twitter, simply asked to say, why is former Zambian president Edgar Lungu being buried in South Africa? He asked the question, like, why? And obviously now the South African community went in, and Dinga Jonah Buyoya was like, I was hoping it was just going to be a silent one. Like the reaction of the South African community. And some of the comments were like, these are still Zambians, just bringing them back. And then one funny reaction was this one. And foreign ghosts do not listen to English, meaning that if you bury a president in a foreign land, the ghosts in South Africa do not understand English. So those are some of the comments. And you can see memes there flying around. Say South African ghosts bullying Edgar Lungu there. So that's one thing with Zambians, is that we deal with grief and very dire situations with humor. Yes, we handle the situation, but humor is one thing that we use. Because what's common is even that thing that we do, the tribal cousinship, where members pour powder or what's this, on people from Chipata. Same thing with Tongas, pour Miumi on Lozis and vice versa. It's that tribal cousinship. So we deal with grief and stuff with humor. That's our stronghold as a nation. That's one thing that we laugh at ourselves. So even when the South Africans were going hard on the Zambians were just laughing in the comment section. Obviously, the Zambians were like, this is what hatred brings down to, like reacting to it. These are Zambians to say, me showing up at the funeral and now uninvited, and then they use the name of the sitting president or Hakainde Hichilema. This should have been the time he was on the Cobra Belt, where he was just waving at the general public. And then they use it as a meme to say, him showing up at the funeral, even if he's not invited. So you could see those that back and forth, just people having a light moment, in as much as we've been going through this for the past 2 weeks now. And then the South African community was like, but how? Are they going to host a state funeral of a Zambian of Zambia in South Africa? No, guys, we cannot allow this. Our South African government better not allow this, please. If this happens, they will want to be here forever and use his grave as reference of their families. Otherwise, if they bury him here, it will be better for it to be a normal funeral like everyone else, nothing special. So those are South Africans reacting to the news to say Zambian president was going to be buried in their land. And then what else can I pick from their reactions? And then another reaction was like, some will come for the funeral and decide to never leave. So simply saying some Zambians are likely to travel to South Africa and they will never leave. And then South Africa must not allow this. Those are the reactions coming from South Africans on the SABC post that they had put up announcing that news. Another one was like, I do not understand when a president or higher statesperson dies, the flag of the particular country must be hosted, and the necessary procedures are done. So are we going to be hosting the Zambian flag, he asks, or will he be buried as a normal person? Hi, South Africa. It's another country. So the mixed reactions from South Africans, but pretty much a good number of them did not like that news. More reactions from South Africans. I know they do not have best hospitals, referring to Zambia. I know they do not have best hospitals, but graveyards. So the family will have to fly and visit his grave. So yeah, that's another reaction to say, will Zambians have to fly just go and see the remains of their former head of state here? Valid questions there, just mixed sort of reactions. And then Zambians in the comment section, they say, I feel embarrassed to be Zambian. If Dramatic was a family, and then obviously those are Zambians. I'm trying to look out for the South African comments in particular. But Emmanuel Mwamba was one of the people that stated to say, this is not new, actually. African presidents who have died in exile or abroad in disputed funeral burial programs. And then he highlights the number of African presidents. One of them is Edgar Lungu. Another is Jose dos Santos of Angola. And then a number of them of Cameroon. Say this is not new, it has happened before, but eventually the bodies are taken back. But one thing I've come to learn about South Africans is that, yes, I'm looking at the comments they are putting up across on the thing, they have little understanding of their own history, and I can't blame them, honestly. It's our responsibility to somewhat to educate them. So what you're looking at there is O.R. Tambo's Heritage House. This is just like 15 minutes away from the biggest airport in Zambia. That's the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. That's prime real estate. This is a place. Anyway, let me just read you the details. So let me just help my fellow South Africans get enlightened. So the O.R. Tambo, who led the ANC from 1967 to 1991, spent 22 years in exile in Zambia. When given a house in Charleston Green, which is now part of the Avondale in Lusaka, the house is now under the National Heritage Conservation Commission. He and Mandela should be turning in their graves over what has become of the people who fought apartheid and led their country. So you're simply putting, this is Brian Murray, this is the Zambian journalist, to say this xenophobic tendency of South Africans is simply because they do not understand their own history. Because we hosted O.R. Tambo in Zambia for 22 years, you can see there, the time they were fighting for independence. And what you see there is our founding father, KK, and the man that has died, Edgar Lungu, standing next to Jacob Zuma and the leaders from South Africa there. So the history between Zambia and South Africa, it goes way back even now. But one thing I've come to learn is that South Africans have an understanding of who Kenneth Kaunda is, because I believe they've named a street or something in Soweto. But they do not really understand what role Zambia in particular played in their liberation for them to become an independent nation from apartheid and the Boers. So it's a responsibility of people that understand. So Zambians hosted O.R. Tambo and a number of South African freedom fighters for 22 years and more, and some are still here. And since then, Zambia has never demanded any recompense or any sort of compensation from South Africa, because we did it as the brothers would do, looking out for brothers. But now that we have this thing where, because the fact is that Edgar Lungu's body is definitely going to come back to Zambia eventually, but we cannot keep his body in a hospital until government and the family come to an agreement with whenever that is going to be. He's supposed to be put in some grave, and eventually his body is going to be irradiated. But their reaction is that of people that have no understanding of how other nations played a role in safeguarding their freedom and also protecting their freedom fighters. So them just hosting the body. If you remember, Zambia has never demanded anything from South Africa. Like really, all the deeds that Zambia has done for South Africa, there's never been one thing that they can point at to say, okay, yeah, we did this as a repayment, in as much as a repayment wasn't required. It's one of those things where you expect, like, you do a favor to a brother who's always in trouble, and then once you and your wife have a dispute within the house, you say, okay, bro, can I come and stay in your house for 2 weeks? And then that brother starts stripping as if you have moved in for forever. So that's the reaction there. And then obviously, that picture that I showed you was taken in 2017. So Emmanuel Mwamba put up this post to say, 2-day state visit. President Edgar Lungu, that's a man that is passed on. President Edgar Lungu, President Jacob Zuma, and the first ladies of Zambia, and Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, the founding father of Zambia, at the National Heritage Site of OR Tambo House. The house is being launched as a National Heritage Site to remember, they commemorate the liberation struggle in Charleston on the Great East Road in Lusaka. OR Tambo lived in Zambia for 22 years. So you see that. I think South Africa should get a lift from the reaction that their leaders have given during this funeral, because you could see immediately there was an impasse between the Zambian government and the Lungu family. You could see how fast the South Africa sent their minister of what we would refer to as the foreign affairs to go and attend to Esther Lungu and the needs of the family, and they announced to say they're going to host the funeral. It's because the leaders that in the ANC or the people that are leading South Africa, they understand the history and the role that Zambia played. So them hosting a body of a former head of state for a duration until an agreement is reached, it's not a big deal. It's one of those things where like you're even looking forward to it, like, yo, thank you for the opportunity for me to repay you for all you did for the nation. But it's the younger generation that is online, that has little understanding of their history, little understanding of what role Zambia played. Because I understood from some of the comments, they are mixing Zambia and Zimbabwe. Yes, I get Zambia and Zimbabwe sound the same, and we are almost like cousins. Zambia and Zimbabwe, we share the Victoria Falls. But there's a difference where they're saying that some of the Zambians will come to South Africa and they would not want to leave, and they'll start claiming to say, this is our heritage. Come on, for crying out loud. No, because even the rich people that have got homes in South Africa, the rich Zambians that have got homes in South Africa, don't want to live there. They're always back and forth. You go to South Africa, you live for 2 weeks, and a week you come back. So don't get it twisted. Know the country that you're referring to. Zambians do travel to South Africa and they come back. Not really like, no, they want to relocate. Just as like we have South Africans living in Zambia, we've got Zambians that live in South Africa, which is understandable. I mean, but not like to the extent where like there will be a migration from Zambia to South Africa. No, brothers, don't get it twisted. We are not those people. And then obviously just memes flying around. That page is definitely not owned by Zicta saying, our fellow Zambians, you can post whatever you want. We won't arrest you because we are all tired. So referring to just memes going around. Zicta has approved this. Obviously that page is definitely not owned by Zicta, but it's just memes that people are having online. And another thing, during the same visit, when they came to pick that commemorate that duration, they even did a ceremony of like picking up the spirits of the people that had died during the struggle, that had died in Zambia, of their graves. Yes, they just went to pick their spirit. They did traditional, traditional ceremonies of picking up spirits and taking them back to South Africa. That only goes to show that there are South Africans that had died in Zambia in big numbers during the liberation struggle. But Zambians allowed that because Zambia identifies as a Christian nation. Zambians had reservations about this ceremony that they had done, where they are conducting, like picking up their spirits and taking them back to South Africa. But because we understand different cultures around our African continent, we allowed it. So them making a big deal of that hosting of Edgar Lungu is just uncalled for, really. But I understand it's a young population of South Africa which needs to be educated of their history. But anyway, let's go back to Zambia. Zambians reacting to this impasse. Apa Zambia Africa, epa ya ama German balandati bombo clash. Like yo, like what's going on is just yo. Another person that is been in the news is Given Nwinda's daughter. So as you may be aware, Given Nwinda is the man that is leading the Patriotic Front. He's the acting vice president, pretty much the head of the PF at the moment. But his daughter has been in the news, I think the past 2 months, if I'm not mistaken, even before the funeral. But recently she came in the light because she's got an opinion. I mean, what do you expect? She's a Zambian. She's entitled to an opinion, but people don't accept her opinion and such. So one of the comments that she earlier put up to say, I was raised on love and not survival, meaning she's come from a family of love and she doesn't need to hate on anybody else or make downplay anybody's emotions because she regards every human being as a human being. She values everyone else. So people that were raised on survival always want to trample or oppress others, pretty much like throw other people online. So that post went viral People were reacting, no, she was raised on love, obviously jabbing at her father as a public figure as expected. But one thing is that, I didn't even tell you her name. Also, her name is Namatama. So Namatama Luvinda. That's Given Luvinda's daughter. So she wasn't one to back down. She went back and forth, obviously just laughing at them. She's got a strong personality. And then recently, this was posted on June 18th. So social media has made people way too comfortable disrespecting each other's parents simply because they are public figures will never be okay. Will never ever be okay. So simply saying, just because my dad is a public figure does not mean that anybody can wake up one day and have an opinion about him and I should not be touched. I mean, she's her father's child. You know, as much as, yes, Given Luvinda is in the public eye and is a politician open for criticism, you don't expect his kids just to sit by as you throw shots at him. So she was one that responded to them. So they have been that back and forth. She's just laughing there. And then obviously more people were saying Namatama's dad is too bitter to raise anyone on love. To raise anyone on love. We are better off with our survival upbringing. So people are having a back and forth and say, yes, for someone that is raised on love, meaning Namatama, our father is too bitter. So there's no possibility for him to raise someone on love. That's according to Lawrence. That's his opinion. Everyone is entitled to one anyway. So she also just responded with memes and pictures, pretty much having a light moment with it. One thing that is clear is that she cannot be bullied. She has an opinion, just like everyone has an opinion, and you will not bully her off that. On the other hand, Max Chungu, this should be like the youth chairperson for Citizen First Hari Kalava's party. He was like, uja wansomba ya derere na uja comedian wama jokes wama dry jokes ndipo babanyoza kuri bantu. Hey, how can you be that foolish on a sensitive issue? So I didn't know who he was referring to when he put up this post until I came across a post. He was referring to Mwizikanji. So if you remember Mwizikanji, that's Yomap's ex. He never even married her. Ex-girlfriend, I would say, but they've got a child together, Bukata. The girl that is mentioned in that song, Bukata. Yeah. So she put up this post. This is Mwizikanji. It's like, we have Chifwema promo at Metopia tonight. Get your okra fish at 100 kwacha, valid today. So as you may be aware, Chifwema is the location where Edgar Lungu has his house, and that's where they were intending to host for his body to lie instead as it was moving between Mulungushi Conference Center until the burial day, which was supposed to be on a Monday if things had gone to plan, if that agreement had held between government and the Lungu family. But people did not receive that post very well. They definitely did not receive it. So please, this is one reaction. Mwizikanji, please, this is so wrong. Never make mockery of someone's pain. The dance of a mad person is funny only when he or she is not your relative. Instead of mocking them, let's encourage them and pray for their healing. So someone responded to Mwizikanji there, and then she realized it. And another person that was being referred to was Ndinema, which was also reposted by the UPND. Maybe he was saying the truth here. So according to the UPND caption, and then Ndinema was like, Sembe na povota wanakamba ati we will vote privately as a family, and the rest of you don't vote. In 2015, hello, we will vote in South Africa. Sembe inapanga sense. Sembe tinavota Zambian Muzatu. So you're simply saying that if the family has decided to make the funeral of the late president a private event, they might have as well done the same thing in 2015. Obviously, people did not like that comment. And yeah, so those are the two people that he was referring to. Mwizikanji finally put up an apology after she noticed that the people were not having it in the comment section. So she deleted that particular post, and then she put up an official apology. She was like, apology. After a thorough check of all the comments, reactions, and criticism from everyone who commented on my post from last night, I have appreciated the concern, and with hindsight, I realized my choice of words made it easy for people to consider my entire post insensitive, thereby defeating the light moment intent. So she simply says she was trying to have a light moment as people are having memes as the ones that have read you having a job. She thought she could do that. And her intent and what the reaction from the public were two different things. So she says, I hereby render my heartfelt apology to the Lungu family, Patriotic Front PF members, and all Zambians, as well as the global citizen offended by my said post. Thank you and good night. So that was Ms. Kanji issuing an apology after she noticed that the backlash from people wasn't user-friendly. So that's the apology that came from Ms. Kanji. And then Bishop Eddie Mulenga was like, we cannot fail to apologize, forgive, and heal. Reconciliation is possible. So simply saying, beyond this, as a nation, we should come to a point where, yes, we differ, but reconciliation and apology should be a common sight. So that's according to Bishop Eddie Mulenga. And then in the morning, Ms. Kanji put up to say, I am honored to announce appointment by government as the global, as a goodwill ambassador for Mchinga Province Investment Forum at Expo, Bachinsari CU September 15th to 19th. So that's one reason why she could have apologized. It wasn't worth it. The backlash that she received on that, she was like, hey, excuse me, I'm not going to mess up my deals. Let me just apologize and move on. And she did. And she announced that endorsement. So she's moved on. And the nation has moved on. Zambians are very easy people. And then you cannot tell that, you can tell that this person doesn't understand satire whatsoever. So simply saying that some of the memes that are going online, people are taking them literally, like, and they're getting offended. Some of these are just light moments. Yes, the moment that recognition is going through is heavy, but I mean, we make light of the situation. And he was like, me after realizing how boring this place will be, is going to be today, simply saying, hey, now that the funeral seems to have settled and where it's going to be buried announced, everything else online is going to be boring. That's a reaction to one of the memes. And then Bishop Eddie Mulenga says, have we learned a lesson? Let's settle differences quickly. We do not know when death could strike. So he's simply saying, yes, in as much as there was the possibility of President Hakainde Hichilema and Edgar Chagwa reconciling down the road, it should have been done earlier on, because you have no prediction of when someone is going to live or die. Because that's the same thing. I remember even Casper Nyovest was even saying the same thing, that he was expecting him and AKA, the South African musician, like they will reconcile down the road, but AKA died eventually. So that's one thing that is notable. And then Bishop Eddie Mulenga also put up an announcement. This has been like the bishop for artists. When the time it wasn't popular for artists to be, secular musicians in particular, to be ceremonized by bishops, especially from the Pentecostal circles. He's the one who identified with them. Most of the funerals, if you know, of artists, is the one that's behind the pulpit for that. So artists are pretty much endorsed him as their bishop, because he always comes through for them. Even Dandy Crazy's funeral is the one who sermonized it. And then sadly, church was broken in and mixer, mic, and cable stolen. Please be on the lookout for anyone trying to sell such. So his church was just broken into, unfortunately, and he says those are the things that are missing. So I'm pretty sure artists will come through, and the rest of the nation is one of those people that puts up a neutral voice and comes through for artists. So I'm pretty sure artists will come through for him. They even celebrated his birthday. Should have been in January, if I'm not mistaken. And then can we go back to being friends again, or you guys have moved on? So that's the Zambian spirit. Like, yo, in as much as we've got different opinions, at the end of the day, we remain as one. So are we still friends or not? And an image of Edgar Chagwa Lungu with a number of public figures here. You can see Mtali Mwanza, I see B-Flow, I see Hope of Hot FM. Is it Nabwadi of Lahakas from ZNBC? What else do I see on this picture? So memories of Edgar Chagwa Lungu there, and his interaction with the youth and everyone else. What is in the Daily Mail, it's a betrayal to Edgar Chagwa Lungu's legacy. Family should have opted for a negotiation. That's according to Nevas Mumba. News diggers, VIP weighs in. They want Lungu to continue playing politics in his death. That's according to VIP there. The mass newspaper, Hakainde Hichilema insensitive. Decision to cut short national mourning. A power play, says Harry Calabar. And then what else? South Africa grants Edgar Lungu burial. So that's the news pretty much, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll keep you posted if anything else develops, as this story is not yet done until the former head of state is put to rest.